Thank you. Okay, everybody, we are live. To those of you joining us live streaming or watching later, welcome. We are at our regular meeting of council, and I will read the resolution to open up the meeting. Be it resolved that the meeting be called to order and that the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Link, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. We have no addendums to the agenda for this evening. We have opening remarks. I will read those. The RM of West St. Paul strives to be a safe and inclusive community that residents are proud to call home, where diversity is embraced, the environment is cared for, and leadership is valued and trusted. The West St. Paul Council is committed to working as a team to provide good governance, safe and reliable infrastructure, recreational facilities, and outdoor spaces the community can enjoy in a sustainable way that values the environment and is financially prudent. Thank you. All right, we have general planning matters on the agenda for this evening. 6.1, first reading of Middle Church Secondary Plan Bylaw Amendment. And maybe, Mr. Planner, I will turn that over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the first application before you tonight is a Middle Church Secondary Plan Amendment, first reading for bylaw number 2021-01. This is a map amendment which would change the secondary plan designation on lands that form part of the Grassmere Creek neighborhood. So currently the designation on these lands is highway commercial policy area. There's also a large portion that is not designated currently. So the applicant is proposing to designate the entire area as emerging residential neighborhood policy area. This would be to facilitate a rezoning and future residential development. Now, I just want to note that first reading, so this is first reading at this stage. An in-depth analysis has not been done on the application by our office. Council giving first reading is not necessarily an endorsement of the application. What it does is it allows our office to continue with conducting research. It allows us to circulate the application for comment to various government agencies and to schedule a public hearing. So just wanted to make that clear that first reading, not necessarily an endorsement of the application. It's mostly to get this on council's radar and to allow our office to continue with the process and schedule a public hearing. So the area to be designated as emerging residential neighborhood is outlined by the black dashed line before you on the map. So it's 6 titles in total, approximately 112 acres in all. So as I mentioned, currently the secondary plan designation on the property is highway commercial to the west, but the majority is not currently designated as any kind of policy area under the secondary plan. What this application again is to do is to designate the entire area on the map before you there within the black dashed lines as emerging residential neighborhood. This would facilitate a rezoning, which is the next application before council tonight, as well as a future subdivision application to allow for residential development. Our office has no concerns with the proposed amendment at this time. The subject lands are designated as settlement center in the Red River Planning District's development plan. So any change to the secondary plan designation has to be consistent with that development plan designation. And the settlement center designation of the development plan does allow for the establishment of residential neighborhoods. And so the proposal to designate these as emerging residential neighborhood land is consistent with the development plan. So as I mentioned, our office has no concerns with the proposed amendment at this time, and we recommend that first reading be given to the bylaw, allowing the application to continue with further research, including obtaining comments from provincial departments and scheduling of a public hearing. That's all I have for this application, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Planner. I'll just go around and see if there are any questions. And thank you for clarifying that no research has been done yet, so we shouldn't have too many questions, but just in case there's a question, I'll go around. Councillor Link, any questions for the planner?
Who is the applicant, Mr. Planner?
The applicant is Waterside Development.
That is my only question. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Bichetti, any questions for the planner?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kleiber, any questions for the planner?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Prague, any questions for Mr. Payton?
No questions for Mr. Payton.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions as well. Thank you. I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-1 being a bylaw of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul to designate the subject land as emerging residential neighborhood policy area in the Middle Church Secondary Plan be read a first time. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. And we have item 6.2, first reading of zoning bylaw amendment 2021-2P. And Mr. Planner, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is the related zoning bylaw amendment application, bylaw number 2021-02P. Again, this is first reading, and so at this stage, in-depth analysis has not been completed, but giving first reading would allow us to circulate to government agencies for comment and to continue conducting research as well as schedule the public hearing. So similar to the last one, these are lands that are part of the Grassmere Creek neighborhood. There are 6 titles in total. This time about 124 acres in all. The proposal is to rezone the lands from A80 agricultural and M1 rural industrial to an RS service residential zone. This would facilitate future residential development. So this is the same extent as the previous application, except there's an additional approximately 12 acres to the east side, that little jet out that you see on the map there. So that's already been designated as emerging residential neighborhood, and so it hasn't been included in the secondary plan application. But the current zoning on it is A80, and so it does need to be rezoned in order to accommodate future residential development. So as I mentioned, the land is currently zoned both A80 and there's a small corner at the southwest that's zoned M1, which is rural industrial. So this application would rezone the entire area outlined in the black dashed line to an RS service residential zone. That's the same zoning that is applied to the lands directly south and east. Just to note that this application can only be approved if the previous application, the secondary plan amendment, is also approved. That's because just like the secondary plan amendment needs to be consistent with the development plan, so does a rezoning need to be consistent with the secondary plan. And the RS service residential zone is only permitted on lands that are designated emerging residential neighborhood in the secondary plan. Similar to the last application, our office has no concerns with the proposed amendment at this time. We recommend that first reading be given to the bylaw, allowing the application to continue with further research, including obtaining comments from provincial departments and scheduling a public hearing. That's all I have for this application. Madam Mayor, of course, we welcome any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Planner. Councillor Bichetti, any questions for the planner?
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Prague, Councillor Kleiber, any questions for the planner?
Is the applicant the water side again?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Prague, any questions to the planner?
No questions. Yes, one question to the planner. Isn't there roll numbers for these properties?
Yes, there are roll numbers. Again, there are 6 titles in all. The roll numbers would have been included in the first reading report that council received.
Okay.
I'd be happy to read them out if you'd like.
Yes. Isn't the roll numbers supposed to be used instead of the applicant's name? That's why we're using roll numbers. Am I correct?
There's a variety of ways that we use to identify the lands, including roll numbers, titles, civic addresses. So it's not necessarily a substitute for identifying the applicant. We don't typically include the applicant's information in our reports because it's not necessarily relevant, but there's no issue with
Yeah, could I have
that
the roll
forward.
numbers, please?
So roll number 30100, roll number 37100, roll number 37200, 30250, 37000, and 30200.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Link, any questions for Mr. Payton?
Yes, Mr. Payton. There can only be two applicants for a zoning bylaw, right? It's either the RM is applying or a developer is applying. Am I correct or not?
That's correct. The property owner or somebody with permission from the property owner can apply, as well as council or the board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There are no further questions then. I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-P, being a bylaw of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul, to amend the RM of West St. Paul zoning bylaw 2-99P by rezoning the subject lands from A80 agricultural and M1 rural industrial to RS serviced residential, to be read a first time. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Payton, for joining us this evening for these two planning items. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, we are on to item number 7, confirmation of minutes. 7.1 is the Committee of the Whole meeting of February 9th. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of Council held on February 9th, 2021 be approved. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded Councillor Prague. Any comments for discussion on the minutes of February 9th? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. 7.2, regular meeting of February 11th. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of Council held on February 11th, 2021 be approved. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Prague, seconded. Councillor Bichetti, any discussion on the minutes of the February 11th meeting? Councillor Link, go ahead.
I have two items. The first is Resolution 2021-078, item number 5.4.3, resolution regarding conditional use 1/21. And my question is, I'm wondering if the final paragraph above carried should be included, because in number 3 of the conditions, we said that the conditional use approval will expire in 3 months. And that seems to be contradictory to the last paragraph, which says the approval of a conditional use will expire and cease to have any effect if it is not acted upon within 12 months of the date. I'm just wondering, I don't know. What do other people think on that?
Sorry, Councilor, can we just get that number again? Just what, I just was, my screen jumped off. I had to get back on.
Sure. The item number is 5.4.3. Conditional use 1/21. And the question again is there a conflict of information with condition 3 and the final paragraph?
Go ahead, Councillor Kleiber.
It isn't very clear. I agree with Councillor Link that possibly that paragraph causes a little bit of confusion. I don't know if we can change anything now because we've already voted on it, but that we did grant it only for the 3 months unless construction permit was taken out. So that doesn't seem to be clear in the resolution.
I agree. The comment was they had 3 months and then we're going in on enforcement. So I'm not sure if that last paragraph was supposed to be in there. Councillor Prague, go ahead. You're still on mute, sorry.
I just was going to say that I concur with Councillor Link and Councillor Kleiber on their suggestion there. It's kind of vague, or is not, it can be interpreted differently.
So I'm wondering, Ms. Shaw, is it worth us looking back at the YouTube recording of the meeting to see if we read that and included it in, or if our intent was the 3 months and not include that paragraph? What do you recommend for us moving forward on this?
Madam Mayor, I could respond. Just to clarify, the 3 month time period, which would be the one that's applicable. So the more restrictive of the two would be the one that's applicable.
Okay. Good, thank you. I know the last paragraph is our standard on variances, on conditional use, but we took more of a hard line on this given the enforcement had already begun. So as long as it's the 3 months and that, because that was the wish of council. Thank you, Ms. Elias. And Councillor Link, I'll go back to you. You had another item in the minutes.
Yes. Item 18.3.1, the Dasmesh School Preliminary MOU. The resolution, be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul approve the Memorandum of Understanding. Should not that read the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul approve the preliminary Memorandum of Understanding? And again, and further be it resolved that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the preliminary Memorandum of Understanding.
I'm going to turn that over to our CAO.
That's, as far as I'm concerned, the only MOU we're going to have with the Dasmesh School. So that's the MOU that's signed and has all the terms in it. So it's been signed, it's been moved forward, and we're not coming back with any other MOUs on that.
I have a follow-up question then, if that is okay.
Yes, sure.
Then I'm wondering why it was labeled 18.3.1 Dasmesh School Preliminary MOU. If that's what we were not, if we were discussing the MOU and it was one and the same, why would the agenda read Dasmesh School Preliminary MOU? I don't understand.
Sure. It came to council in camera and then we went across on the screen and we read the preliminary MOU. If council had any concerns about the way that it was worded or what was included in the preliminary or the draft, then we could comment on that time. And so we came out of camera having reviewed the preliminary MOU and it was accepted, and council made a resolution to then move forward and approve the MOU and authorize us to sign it. So it came to council in its draft form and we were authorized to sign it, that it was accepted. Does that make sense, Councillor Link?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions regarding the minutes of February 11th? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. And we have the minutes of the special meeting of February 16th. Be it resolved that the minutes of the special meeting of council on February 16th, 2021 be approved. Can I have a mover? Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Kleiber. Any discussion, concerns on the February 16th minutes? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Right, no delegations for this evening. Bylaws for consideration. We have 9.1, second reading of the bylaw for added to taxes. And I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-4, being a bylaw of the Real Municipality of West St. Paul to add outstanding accounts and utility charges to the tax roll for the year 2020 be read a second time. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Kleiber, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any comments, questions regarding the added to taxes bylaw? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. We have second reading of bylaw 2021-5 tax cancellation. Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-5, being a bylaw of the Real Municipality of West St. Paul to authorize the cancellation of taxes owing to the municipality for the years 2019 and 2020 be read a second time. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Pereg, seconded Councillor Link. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. And if there are residents watching wondering why we're not discussing, this is the third time we've looked at this from committee of the whole and then first reading at a previous council meeting. So council's had the opportunity to discuss. We are at item 9.3, third reading of bylaw added to taxes. Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-4, being a bylaw of the Real Municipality of West St. Paul to add outstanding accounts and utility charges to the tax roll for the year 2020 be read a third and final time, signed, sealed, and therefore passed as a bylaw of the Real Municipality of West St. Paul. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded Councillor Link. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. 9.4, third reading of tax cancellation bylaw. Be it resolved that the bylaw 2021-5, being a bylaw of the Real Municipality of West St. Paul to authorize the cancellation of taxes owing to the municipality for the years 2019 and 2020 be read a third and final time, signed, sealed, and therefore passed as a bylaw of the Real Municipality of West St. Paul. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Link, seconded Councillor Kleiber. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. We are at item 10, accounts and invoices for payments. 10.1, accounts. Be it resolved that the vouchers 41893 to 41924 as listed and totaling $106,596.35. Void checks 41698 and 41917 totaling $1,662.84. And January Visa payment totaling $20,262.94 be approved as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Bichetti. Any discussion regarding the payment? Councillor Link and then Councillor Kleiber. Go ahead, Councillor Link.
I'm just wondering, what events did Strauss event managers been on the last couple of payment registers? What events does Strauss event managers organize for RORM?
Mr. CEO, I'm going to turn.
Madam Mayor, I'd have to go back and look at the check registers and the invoices to see. I can't tell you off the top of my head right now.
Okay. I have another couple of questions. The RM uses Zoom, AllNet, BK Studios, and I notice a check for Everbright? What virtual meetings does Everbright carry out for the RM?
Mr. CAO.
Madam Mayor, I'd have to go to the check register and the invoices to look for that answer. We had agreed that councillors would send me their questions ahead of time so I could pull up the invoices to look at what the checks were for.
May I respond to that, Mayor Christian?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I have a number of outstanding questions from other meetings that still haven't been answered. So I thought I would just ask about these companies tonight. I'm not asking if the checks, you know, I'm not making an inference that the checks, I want to know, what are these companies do for us? That's all. I have a final question. There's a new sidewalk on Main Street, and where, I think Stantec supervised that, where on Main Street was that new sidewalk? Does anybody know?
In terms of an item on the check registry,
Yeah. Yes, it was.
what number item?
It was Stantec. Yeah, 41919.
Mr. CAO.
No, Madam Mayor, I don't have any answers for Councillor Link tonight as per our agreement that we would send the inquiries to the CAO ahead of time that I'll answer them then.
Okay, I will bundle up my previous questions along with these questions and send them to you as soon as I can. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Link. And if you copy all of council in that, that would be great too. Then everybody is informed. That's great. Thank you. Councillor Kleiber, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
This one is pretty glaring. So it's the University of Manitoba Staff Education for $6,819.75. So I'm just wondering what that was for.
Answer that one. That's for staff education.
Yeah, it says it's staff education. Yes, I see that. What kind of staff education are we paying for? That's what I'm wondering.
You're paying for continuous education that staff can enhance their services. As you know, in the strategic plan, that services has been a high priority for us. So usually in all businesses, government organizations, and that we promote continuous education. So staff takes education. They may further themselves in finance, management, those type of things. It's quite common in industry and government for corporations to promote that their staff improve themselves, and it helps you when you want to retain staff. When you have succession planning, you would send them for education, a whole listing of reasons that you have education. We budget for staff education. It's in the budget. It's discussed every year at budget time. So this is something that we've been doing for 11 years. This is something that has happened at the City of Winnipeg when I was there 33 years previous. Staff education is a part of all our culture at West St. Paul, where we promote continuous improvement for staff members. We promote retention. When we hire someone, we want those people to stay with West St. Paul, because every time you have a turnover in staff, it costs you major dollars. So when we have some excellent young staff here, we want them to develop in West St. Paul, and in 20, 25, 30 years, we want them to be doing the management positions, and maybe one of them has aspirations to be the CAO, and they get a chance to improve themselves with the corporation.
So is this for a number of employees, or so what I'm asking is not one employee, it's like a
It's
number.
not one employee.
Pardon me?
In January of the year, that was when U of M or U of W or Red River College would offer their courses. So they're all signing up at the same time for courses. So the budget for education is open to all our staff, and I believe every single admin person is taking education in 2021 and 2020. So really excited about that. You know, they turn their marks into the management team here, and like I say, it's exciting, and this is how we do succession planning and retention. It's part of our corporate culture to keep staff, you know, feeling good about their jobs and feeling good about staying at West St. Paul.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Prague, go ahead.
In the budget deliberations, isn't there money set aside for staff and for counselors for continuing education? Am I correct, Mr. CEO?
Correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Kleiber, go ahead, and then Councillor Link.
I'm just wondering, which budget, is it an operating budget then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Link, go ahead.
Just wanted to thank the CAO for that explanation, because I think the residents benefit from hearing good information about how the staff is pursuing further education that will benefit the RM in the long run. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. CEO.
We, in my in the CAO monthly admin reports, we list all the education that staff take on a regular basis. When a course is complete, we list the course that it's taken. So you have courses that are one-off, a day or two course that will be listed every month. And then you have courses, I know at least 4 people have registered in courses at university right now that they're taking at night that go from a term of January to April. But those are all listed in my report.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Yeah, I've noticed staff under each of their sections in the CAO report list what they've done in the previous month, and they'll identify their training and education. So that's great. So very transparent for residents in terms of cost for education. And then within the reports, we can see exactly what education they are taking. That's great. Thanks for the questions. Any further questions on the accounts? Go ahead,
Could
Councillor.
there be a recorded vote? I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah. Request for recorded vote. Hearing and seeing no further questions, I will call for the question. All those in favor?
I will abstain.
Okay. Thank you. All right, and we are down to item, sorry. We have communications, 14.1. We have Abundant Life Lutheran Church donation thank you. So council's had an opportunity to see that. That is attached and just received as information. And 14.2, we have 2020 tax arrears recovery and tax sale designated for the year 2019. And you can see the letter there from tax service that was attached. And that's received as information for council as well. And we have no further business outside of camera, so we will be moving in camera at this time. I will read the resolution to move in camera. Be it resolved that in accordance with section 152.3 of the Municipal Act, council do now move in camera to discuss matters that are in preliminary stages and respecting which discussion in public could prejudice a municipality's ability to carry out its activities or negotiations and a legal matter. And further, be it resolved that in accordance with section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act, Any issues that are discussed are kept confidential until discussed at a regular meeting of council. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded Councillor Prague. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. live. Thank you to those who are patiently waiting. Our Rise and Report coming out of camera, we have item 19.3.1 regarding Development Agreement S18 2798, and I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul approve the development agreement for subdivision S18 2798, and further be it resolved that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the development agreement. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Pereg, seconded Councillor Kleiber. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. Item 19.3.2 was a legal matter discussed in camera. And 19.3.3 is council member code of conduct issue. I will turn it over to the CAO to read the resolution for council.
And request a recorded vote, please.
Resolution. Whereas a complaint was filed under the Code of Conduct for members of Council Bylaw 2020-10, and whereas the review of the Code of Conduct complaint against Councillor Link was accepted by the intake reviewer, and whereas mediation on the matter has not been agreed to, and now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the RM of West St. Paul permit the complaint to proceed to the next phase of the formal complaint resolution process. And further be it resolved that the complaint against Councillor Link must be investigated by a designated provincially approved third party as selected by the Chief Administrative Officer in accordance with legislation.
We're having a recorded vote, are we?
Yes, request for recorded vote. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded Councillor Pereg. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. And I will read the resolution to adjourn the meeting. Be it resolved that the meeting stand adjourned. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Pereg, seconded Councillor Kleiber. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.